Yeah, it's like it's not popping up, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because it still says waiting to
I think it's
what,
popping
however
up
you.
now, Brad. I think we're going on now. Yeah, we are. Okay, we're want to thank everybody for hopping on the stream right now. Looks like the stream wasn't working in the first few minutes, but we're live now on Dodgers Digest. Myself and Brad J talking Dodger baseball. Looks like everybody's able to see us now, Brad.
Okay, well, that's what we were looking for. We needed that to happen to get started.
Yeah, so
So,
talk a little bit about
uh,
the Dodgers got a split against the D-backs, getting a big win yesterday. Tony Gonsolin looked great. Tony Gonsolin missed a couple years, and he's been solid in his first few starts here for the Dodgers. And yesterday, he ran into a bit of a trouble in the first inning. Watching the game, he had a first and second with two outs, and it was a bit of a jam. But after that, he looked great. I mean, the D-backs, I don't think they had a runner in scoring position against Gonsolin after that first inning, so he completely shut them down. The D-backs, ended up playing tough against the Dodgers, getting a couple wins, but it was a good performance by Tony Gonsolin. So, what do you think, Brad? The pitching has been a bit of an issue, I think, for the Dodgers to start of the year, but
yeah,
Gonsolin looked good.
yeah, and you look at Mike. That's a good point. You look at some of the ERAs and stuff. What's going on with our pitchers, and it's like you compare those ERAs from this year to last year, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on there? But yeah, Gosselin, they needed him to be good. What was he? Five scoreless innings. Pitched 84 pitches, I think was his number. He did walk two, but you know what? I thought he looked good. I think he needed a kind of a snapback game because he got a little loose. I think it was against Miami, but it was good to see him back on there. And boy, you said it. I mean, Dodgers need it. They need some good pitching, and we haven't been getting what we've been looking for. And it's like you think that all the pitching decisions that we made in the offseason, all these guys that we got and everything, like, oh, we're not going to have the problem pitching this year. No way. And then, not that we're having a main problem, but I feel like we should be farther in first place in just one game over the Pods right now. So
Well,
that's
no, well, we
how I
are
feel.
because I mean it's only
Yeah.
one game, Brad.
Yeah.
Because I think that the pitching, we've been using a lot of the bullpen. I mean, Dave Roberts talked about
Yes.
this. We did a video on it, talk about how it's not sustainable for the Dodgers to be using so much
No way.
bullpen due to the injuries. So I think if we didn't have those injuries, Brad, we'd be so much farther ahead. The offense has had a record start. I mean, we were talking about it before we went on the air. How many hitters on this team? I mean, they're on fire. We got Freddie Freeman, we got Otani, we got Teo, who's out right now, but was doing great when he got hurt. Even Andy in center field, Andy Pajes is doing good too. So everybody's been contributing, and the Dodgers are scoring a lot of runs. If you look at Friday, they end up coming back to win. What was it, down
Yeah.
11-8, and they went 14-11. Otani
Yeah,
hits
that
that
was
three-run
insane.
shot. I mean, this team is still offensively the strongest team in baseball.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right on that. But the only thing that I would add to that is you got to think about the guys that aren't doing it, which isn't a lot of guys. But if you look at the lower half of that lineup, you still see the problems. Conforto had two hits yesterday, which is that is a good thing. But I mean, he's still batting 153. He's only got two homers, and you know he's got 118 at bats. So you expect him. That's a good sample size, and I would expect him to be hitting a little better than that. But hey, glass half full or half empty. To me, half full, two hits out of him. I think that makes Dave Roberts run him out there a bunch more times because maybe this is the start of him catching on. So that's that. Then the Muncie. Let's talk about Muncie. It's like still he's only batting 190 right now. One home run and nine RBIs, which to me, that is for as many times as he plays, you would think those numbers would be a lot better. What, 34 years old? But how come? My question to you: how come Taylor is not run out there more? He's only got 28 at bats. So if Muncie's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, why is Taylor being put out there sparingly? Shouldn't you just say, you know what, Munce, let's have you sit down, let's have Taylor step up because he can play anywhere on the field.
Yeah, I don't know, Brad. I think the Dodgers. I was talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine. I don't know. I think the Dodgers they might have given up on Chris Taylor. I mean, because it seems like they're not really putting him out there very much. We know they've been
No,
trying to trade him last year and a half or so. They've been actively trying to trade him, and of course haven't had much luck. And it seems like they don't feel confident that he can really contribute anymore offensively, which is kind of crazy because Chris Taylor was a solid player for the Dodgers. 3-4 years ago. I mean, Chris Taylor was one of the. I mean, he wasn't like Otani numbers, but he was a solid hitter. You could depend on him, especially in key situations and all that, and the bottom half of the lineup. And now it seems like the Dodgers have kind of moved on from him. And he's still on the team because they have to pay that salary and they don't want to release him and have to pay him all that money. But it seems like the Dodgers don't really want to use him anymore. So I don't think that's going to change, Brad. I think we would have already saw Chris Taylor go in by now, right? Because it's not like the Dodgers haven't had struggles in center field and at third base. It wasn't just third base. I mean, center field for a bit was a struggle as well. So Taylor had an opportunity to go in a couple situations, and he hasn't. So I don't think we're going to see him really ever get a shot with the Dodgers this season.
But to me, at the point is why? Why hasn't he replaced Conforto for more games because of what Conforto's been doing? Why hasn't he replaced other players on a team like Muncy? Well, he can play third. You can put him there. You can put him in the outfield. You can put him anywhere. How come? Well,
I think because last year he the games that he did play, he didn't hit at all, and even this year his numbers haven't been very good. I mean, spring training he didn't play very well either. Sure. So I don't. I just think there's been enough for the Dodgers to see to make the decision that they don't want to bring him out. Right? There's been enough. I mean, it's not like Taylor hasn't had any at bats or he hasn't played at all. Right?
No, really, he's had 28 at bats.
Yeah, so but what about the ones in spring training?
Yeah,
spring training. I believe he hit under 200 in spring training, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't have good numbers at all in spring, and I think that's why he's on the bench right now.
Well, you look at Muncy, who's had 1 million at bats. Who's batting 190, and only has 9 RBIs, but then you got Taylor has 2 RBIs, so he's
But Muncy did get 30 home runs in one season, though.
Yeah,
that's a big difference.
And they're pretty much kind of the same age, a little bit, right? Yeah. 34, 36. Right around there. I don't know why. My point is this. I just don't know why he's not being used more because of the struggles. If Conforto was doing great, I wouldn't even say that. If Muncy was doing great, I wouldn't even say that. But because of those struggles, you think, well, why don't you? And when Pajes was struggling, I mean, I think giving Pajes the chance, the opportunity, he turned it around, batting 286 now, 140 at bats, 6 home runs. He's got 20 ribbies. So he turned it around, and people were like, "Oh, send him down, man, send him down." And look, they stuck with him. So is that the case what Roberts is doing? Look, I'm going to stick by Muncy. I'm going to stick by Conforto, and I'm going to send him out there every single day.
I mean, another issue with Taylor could be we don't know if maybe he's not 100%. I know Taylor's dealt with injuries. There could be a possibility that there's an injury he's dealing with, and that's why he's not getting a chance to play. Because, you do have a good point, Brad. There's been a couple players in the Dodgers lineup, Conforto, Muncy, who are not really contributing a lot, especially Conforto. I think he's had a very disappointing year outside of the first week or so. It's been disappointing for the most part. And a player that the Dodgers had high hopes for. They signed him for a year, gave him a good amount of money. It's not like the Dodgers gave him like $2 million. I mean, they paid him well for 1 year, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's 16 or 17?
Yeah, around there.
I think that's the number. So I mean, the Dodgers know it was a 1-year deal. They know they're not going to have him next year. So we've now seen 3 stories now on Dodgers trying to get Kyle Tucker by next season. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think it's a good source. Bob Nightingale was the first one to report it yesterday morning, talking about how the Dodgers are going to pursue Kyle Tucker in free agency, and I think it's a good prediction. I think the Dodgers will do that. I think the Dodgers would love to have him on the Dodgers and not with the Cubs, because that's how the Dodgers work. They don't want to see star players go on other National League teams. So the Dodgers, I think, are going to aggressively go after him, especially if Conforto doesn't turn around. I think the Dodgers are going to lack an outfield spot, right? I mean, I think left field is James Outman ever going to turn around and take over?
Man.
I don't know. I mean,
we haven't even talked about that yet.
Yeah. So I think Tucker is a good option. I don't know what you think, Brad. Former Astro, does that bother you? What do you think?
I mean, to a point, but I mean, at some point you got to kind of let that go. I mean, so I like the idea of getting Kyle Tucker. They get him in the offseason. Maybe he fills the void. Maybe you got some training bait with some of the other guys. But I mean,
It's going to cost money, Brad. $500 million.
yeah. Well, let's look at this. Since we're talking outfield, let's talk about Outman. I mean, what do you do with Outman right now? Like, what is the situation with him? And maybe that's also another reason why you're looking to get Kyle Tucker. You're like, well, Conforto's a 1-year deal. Outman's not producing, so maybe we need to beef up that outfield. And that's probably what the Dodgers are looking to do, because Outman right now, .067. Now, he's only had 15 at bats, so I'm not going to hold him to that, but he's striking out a lot. And you see that kind of a choppy swing that he's done?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him hit a home run with that swing, so it seems like he's tried to have less of a swing because he does have a big swing, and he's kind of changed that up a little bit. But I don't know, man. Not looking good right now with him.
Yeah, and he's only playing. He's only on the team right now because of the tail injury, right? I mean, that's the only reason why Outman is up there. I mean, I don't think he did well enough in Oklahoma City to say like, oh, we got to bring this guy up. He's sizzling right now, and he just wasn't. The reason why he's up there is because of injury, and I think he'll be going back down to the minors once Teo comes back, Brad. I think he'll be right back in Oklahoma City. That's my prediction.
Yeah. Well, and that also shows the lack of outfields that you have. Because you have to bring up Outman, who, like you said, is not like turning heads in OKC, but you have no other choice.
Yeah.
So you have to bring him up. So the Dodgers know that. They're going to stick, a year in advance and go, okay, let's look at the Kyle Tucker option. Let's try to see if we can sign him next year. And I like the idea, and I can see why they're doing it.
Yeah, but that's, again, going back to the Dodgers not having options. It's just the way Major League Baseball rosters are constructed now. I mean, basically these teams have no benches. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, Brad, you had a couple guys on the bench that could come in. They were pinch hitters. They were just kind of utility guys that you could always depend on if you had injuries. Now, teams just don't have those kind of players, and they always have to go to the minors when there's injuries. I don't like it. I think it should be like that again. I don't think we should have so many roster spots being used for pitchers. There should be some position players too that are on the team just ready to go. But there's nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know how you fix that. I mean, that's a whole other story right there. Yeah, because you take up your roster room with basically all pitchers just about, and so there's just a couple of guys left here and there, and not like it was. Speaking of that, what about Barnes, dude? What do we do? What's the story about Barnes? What do you do with Barnes? Because Kershaw's coming back.
Yeah.
And we know Barnes catches Kershaw.
Yeah.
So that's something we always have to talk about. I don't know why that is, but it is the point. But like last few games, man, he's looked every bit of his age, and I'm not harshing him. He's an amazing catcher. He's been great, but when you have two strong catchers in OKC with rushing and forget it right now, but you have Fiducia.
Yeah.
Fiducia and rushing down there, and you're not able to use them because you have Barnes taking up that second catcher spot on the roster. Yeah. I don't know about that.
I don't know, Brad. I think for the rest of 2025, we're going to see Barnes with the team. I mean, Kershaw's coming up, and I just don't see the Dodgers kind of like pushing Barnes away with Kershaw now in the fold, because I just think for the rest of this season, I think Barnes will be with the team. But next year, though, I think this is Barnes.
No way.
Yeah, he won't be here next year, right? I don't think so. No. I think this is his last year in baseball.
I'll bet you anything, no matter what happens, that Barnes retires and becomes with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
But, so you're saying no matter what. So even if he's 0 for like 50,
he's staying with the team. Yeah.
You send him out there every time you're going to send Kershaw.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Wow. I don't think so. I don't think he's going down, Brad.
See, that's the problem with the rosters and the position players.
Yeah.
Because you have spots for two catchers.
Yeah.
So you can't, unless you can get a guy who can fill in and play. That's why there's so many utility guys nowadays.
Yeah.
To cover that void, because you don't have them. That's why, look, Chris Taylor can play anywhere on the field. I mean, he's one of those guys. Edman is one of those guys. So you need those kind of players, but
these guys play on a regular. Outside Taylor would be the guy that you would say doesn't play very much, but I think there should always be a couple guys that that you would rely. The Dodgers don't have enough. Nobody has enough bench players now, and that's obviously a concern. Looks like we got some comments though from Ray. Ray Brown saying he was at the game yesterday. That's awesome. Going to Chase Field. Gonsolin pitched well. Balls and strikes were not great, but led him to pitching past the fifth. So that's cool. Did you ever get a chance to go visit Chase Field, Brad? It's a pretty interesting stadium.
No, I
Oh,
have
you
not been to
wow,
that. I have
never
I have
have.
not been to that one, and that's
Wow.
one that I've been trying to like. I was trying to figure it out this year to try and get a position that I
Okay.
could get up there because I travel so much. I thought there's got to be a way
Yeah.
I can get there and see a game, but I haven't. But they had the roof open, didn't they, for the last couple of games or something?
Yeah, I believe not yesterday, but I think Friday,
Yeah,
Saturday they did. Yesterday was a 1 o'clock start, so it was pretty hot out there. So yeah, it's hot. It's a stadium that, I mean, it's not one of my favorites. I think, because I like
yeah.
outdoor stadiums, but I think baseball should be outdoors. But it's definitely a loud stadium when it gets when it gets packed. And yesterday it was packed with a lot of Dodger fans. So that's pretty awesome, Ray, that you were at the game.
It's always a lot of Dodger
It
fans
always,
too. That's
yeah.
the thing is, there's so many Dodger fans. I think it's the there's no way that the Dodgers, the people, the Dodger fans who travel and see the team play in other stadiums, I don't think there's a bigger fan base. You can argue Yankees, I guess, if you wanted to, but there's no way. Dodgers travel better than any team in all of Major League
Oh yeah,
Baseball.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
no
even
way you can
close.
deny that. Yeah,
It's not even
can't
close.
deny that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even close. I think there's so many Dodger fans living in other states too. I mean, I don't know if Brad, when you're in any state of the United States, even like when I was living in Minnesota, I mean, there was a few Dodger fans. I remember. I always saw Dodger hats even out there. There's always
Oh,
fans everywhere.
yeah, and for like I've been to every single state in the U.S. and I'll tell you what, you see Dodger fans every single place that you go. And when I travel, I'm always rolling with the Dodger lid too, as well. So you got to support. Hey, what do you think about this? I was kind of thinking about today, Sasaki. Do you
Yeah.
ever maybe send him down for a rehab assignment? Is
Yeah,
that
that's a
something the
good
Dodgers?
point, Brad. I mean, I think Sasaki. We talked a little bit about this also this week, talking about how his velocity has been a struggle. Even Mark Pryor, the
Yeah,
pitching coach, brought that up. Even acknowledging that, which you don't see that every day, Brad. I'm a little bit surprised with that. Usually, teams don't actually say what Mark Pryor was saying. Like, yeah, straight up, he's struggling to get his velocity up here in the States. So. What do you think about that? Your own coach talking about that publicly. If I was a player or an agent, I wouldn't really want that information out there.
I
But
think it was good. I think
yeah,
it was a excuse me, a good cop bad cop thing because Roberts comes on and he made a statement saying there is no way at this moment they would even suggest that they would even think about sending him down to OKC for a rehab assignment. So I think Roberts tried to cover for Pryor
yeah.
saying that. I think is kind of what happened on that one. But I mean, would you, if you're in that position, what would you do? Would you just
I wouldn't
continue to
send him
send
down
him out
right
there?
now, Brad. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. At this time, we can't because the Dodgers are short two starters,
Yeah,
right?
you don't want to crush. You
No,
don't want to crush him right there and just have him just.
no.
All right.
The injuries right now, the
Yeah.
Dodgers are too banged up. I mean, if we had Glasnow and Snell pitching at 100%, then I would do it. But right now, the Dodgers are just not at full strength, right? I mean, they just are not right now in a position to be making those kind of moves. I mean, when Kershaw
Yeah.
comes back this weekend, probably maybe Sunday, making his start against the Angels. Of course, it's not confirmed yet, but he's going to be brought up, and some people are saying that he might get the start on Sunday at Dodger Stadium against the Angels, which would be a good first start because the Angels, as we know, have had a really bad start to the year. Um,
Yeah.
when he comes
And
up, yeah,
that they'll start him against someone like the Angels
yeah. I
because
mean,
you want
not put
it's
him against the Yankees or something.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, Curse, come on out. You got the Yankees. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I get that. You want him, and I get that too because you want to try to build the confidence. And Sasaki, but how can he be 4 miles per hour off? It's not 2 miles per hour.
no 4.
It's not three. It's not one. It's literally four.
Yeah,
And I think sometimes it's 4.5. Like, okay, maybe I'm not trying to be chicken little. The sky's falling, like somebody tried to call me the other day. But I mean, that's a lot of miles per hour. The MPH you're losing right there. What's your? I mean, is it mechanical? Is it? People say it's a different ball
yeah.
size.
That hurts. That affects a lot. I think the ball
So
makes a big difference. We know it's a smaller, more lighter ball in Japan. It gives you a better
yeah,
grip, and here it's different, right? And also, I just think Sasaki has not pitched at this level ever, right? So, like technically, a pitcher like him would be in AAA or AA, right? He wouldn't be pitching in the major leagues, and I think that also has a lot to do with it, right? Not getting a chance to really build up his arm for North America, right? I think that's a big one.
Well, and he's had to change his whole style because he looked at that triple-digit fastball, or 99-mile-an-hour fastball as a get-out pitch. Like, he could blow guys away with that pitch. He can't blow guys away with that pitch now at 94.5 or 95.5. Yeah. Now it's like, well, now it's placement. You can't just – and if you hang one and someone's ready to tee on it, like, how do you prepare for that? So I don't like that big of a drop, and I don't know, is it the size of the ball from what they use over in Japan to what they use here? I don't know, but it just seems that that's a lot.
Right, it could be already a sign of wear and tear, Brad. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I didn't want to say it. Thank you for doing that, though.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I just think there's no other reason why. I mean, I think a lot of these guys, unfortunately, start dealing with issues at a younger age. Hiroki's a young guy. I mean, it's not like he's a veteran, but we don't know. I mean, he could already be dealing with arm issues. He's never had Tommy John. So, I mean,
I hate to say that, right?
Yeah.
But to me, when you have that big of a drop, I know the Dodgers aren't making a big deal out of it, but to me, that seems like a kind of a big deal. And
Mark Pryor did. I mean,
he did,
which I think the Dodgers probably told him don't do that. But
so what's he done? He's pitched 34 innings.
Yeah.
He's got a 4.72 ERA right now.
Yeah.
And 24 strikeouts in 8 games and 8 appearances.
Yeah.
So, 4.72. I mean, you're approaching the 5 mark right there, and that's not a ground you really want to be on.
No, I mean, and it goes back to, think about his first start over here stateside. He didn't get out of the first inning, Brad. Remember that game against the Tigers? So he's had trouble. He's had some good games. I think a good sign, though, was he went, 98 pitches, I believe, in his last start, or one of the last 2 starts, he went 98 pitches. It was his most he's pitched the whole season.
But see, that goes back to, so he pitched that many pitches, and he also, his fastball is 4 miles per hour slower than it normally would be. And so then I start thinking, well, why are you having him pitch that many pitches?
Yeah.
So it's not an issue of a tired arm or something going on. I just don't understand that. And when I saw him pitch that game and they kept him in there to get that win, that just seemed like a lot of pitches for a guy who's throwing 4 miles an hour slower. So,
but at the time, the Dodgers, I think, were a bit of a need of a deep start because of their bullpen being used up so much. I guess this goes back to the team needs. They probably asked Roki, we really need you to go deep today. We are really decimated right now, and that's what happened that day.
And then you look at May's ERA is 4.08, so you got 2 of your starters in the 4s right now. And luckily, Gonsolin he's got a 2.81. He pitched good. He's only pitched 16 innings this year. But 21 Ks in 16 innings, we'll take that. 2-0, we'll take that as well. But Yamamoto, thank goodness for Yamamoto, right? 1.80 ERA, had a rough game in the last game.
Rough game, Grand Slam,
but 53 strikeouts that he has got. So
that was a bit surprising Thursday, him having that rough game, because he's had every game has been basically perfect outside of the last start.
You know it's coming.
No, it's coming, right?
You know that there's gonna be a bad game. The bad game is coming. There's no way. I'd love to see him pitch. Lights out. I mean, I remember when Hershiser was on his streak back in the day, in those scoreless innings, and going to see him pitch against the Padres in San Diego, and just. I mean, that's the kind of stuff, just on, and not having a bad day for that many games. That's why that was so unheard of at the time that happened.
You saw him in San Diego then during the streak in '88?
Yes, I did.
Wow. It was a regular season game then. Okay.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
got to see him during that. So,
wow.
So I mean, any pitcher's going to have a bad one. It's how they come back from that. But that also brings me to this: 5-day rest, 6-day rest. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm a purist when it comes to baseball. I think these guys should be pitching. 5. I like the 5-man rotation. I think 6 is going to be a bit too much. I mean, the Dodgers have a lot of money to spend, and they could build up a 6-man rotation no problem. But a lot of other teams don't have that capacity. And if we start going to 6-man rotations across baseball, there's going to be some pitchers that aren't very good that are basically
But look,
AAA guys in the major leagues. That's what's going to
all
happen.
right, but let's talk Dodgers on this one because I want to bring up a little stat here.
Yeah.
Not a stat, but what happened? Okay, so the Dodgers were doing the 6-day for Yamamoto and for Sasaki because that was their routine,
Yeah.
right? So they were doing that again. Well, as soon as they went to the 5-man rest, right, the 5-day rest, what happened? Sasaki had a bad game. Yamamoto had his worst game. So can you compare that? I mean,
well, yeah, it is because
weird.
these guys come from Japan. They only pitch once a week in Japan, Brad. So that's the way they do it.
But if you're the Dodgers, isn't that alarming? Going, hey, whoa, let's get back to that 6-day because both of them had an off day coming back on the 5-day rest.
Yeah, and they came back on that 5-day rest, I believe, because they had to play 10 games in a row. Right?
Yep,
Remember, they didn't have an off day. Today they have a much needed off day, Brad. I mean, not playing today, the Dodgers really need the day off today. They start a 3-game set against the Athletics tomorrow night at Dodger Stadium, but they really needed that off day, and I think that's why they made that switch because of the 10 games in a row, the 10-game road trip without any off days, which is pretty insane, Brad. Think about it. They played Wednesday night, I should say, in Miami. Then they had to fly from Miami to Arizona and play on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's crazy, Brad. I mean, that's a long flight, Florida to Arizona. It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Time difference.
No, I think it's that. And the flight's probably 4 to 5 hours from coming from Miami because you're coming down low. Yeah, so that's a long deal to have to come back to. And then that's why I feel like the bullpen's been getting rocked a little bit. What's going on with the bullpen? They're getting used so much that they're going to get tired arms, and we're going to have, like I said in the beginning, that I felt like we had ample enough pitchers to be able to go through this season. Bullpen, starters, the start of the season, I was like, we got this. We're going to be solid. And now it's like, well, I don't know, man. We need to experiment a little bit more and bring guys out because for Bonda to have a 4.82 ERA, the way he pitched last year, I mean, that kind of blew my mind right there. So seeing that, and Vesia, a 3.38. I know that's not a big ERA, but Vesia, you're used to seeing him in the ones.
Yeah, well, so the bullpen's been used up a lot. Again, the injuries, and you just hope that the Dodgers could get some at least a couple starting pitchers. I mean, 3 is maybe asking a lot, but at least a couple guys that are solid every 6 days whenever they roll them out. Because right now the Dodgers just don't have that, right? They don't have a couple guys they could go to. They really only have one guy in Yamamoto. Everybody else has had ups and downs. Maybe Gosling becomes that guy, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too, because you look at it now, the 5 starters that you see, because Knack has been getting back in there. So you got Yamamoto, Sasaki, May, Gosling, and Knack. Well, Knack is 4.61 ERA. Sasaki is now 4.72 ERA, and May is 4.08. 3 dudes, 3 of your starters in the 4s on their ERA on the Dodgers. That flows with another team, with some other team, but for the Dodgers, you don't expect to see those 3 guys in the 4s and then be starters. And it's like you said, Gosling could be the shining light here. He could be just about ready to catch fire.
All right, let's go to the comments. Bearded saying, a good comment here from Ray, which is what I was kind of saying, Brad, a bit earlier. 30 years ago, there was 9 pitchers and 16 fielders. That's how baseball teams used to be. I wish it was like that again. Bearded saying, I'm in Wyoming and always repping Dodger Nation. But what do you think about that, Brad? 9 pitchers, 16 fielders.
Yeah, because what is it now? It's 13 or something?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. It's changed a lot.
So, yeah, you think about it, because you always had these dudes on the bench where you could have just a guy that is just a runner, just runs.
Yeah.
That's it. Just one guy who's a runner. You don't even let him hit. He's just a pinch runner for you. And they would have those guys back in those days where they don't have that anymore.
And I just think because you have options at pinch hitting, too. I mean, think about it. Before, you could have, I'm going to bring a left-handed batter or a right-handed batter to pinch hit, and you could play matchups and all that. Now, you can't even do that, which is crazy, I think.
Because a pitcher has to face 3 batters, right? So it's so that also sped the game up, too, as well. I mean, you look at the length games have sped up.
Oh, you're talking about the 3-batter minimum rule. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at how fast games have sped up because of the changes they've made. So
before that was a big difference, right? You had guys come in for 1 batter and they're out, right? That's how it used to be.
But that forces teams to pick to have utility players, and that's why Kike,
Yeah.
Chris Taylor, Edman. You look at what the Dodgers do and how many guys can play outfield, infield. There's so many. Look, Betts, like these guys can do it all. And when you're forced to not have that many choices, you got to make lemonade with the lemon somehow. So you start getting the talented utility guys, and Edman was a huge scorer.
Got a good comment here from Ryan saying, I want to see Otani match against the A's and the Halos, right? Time to pad those stats. Yeah, I mean, think about it. This week, the Dodgers got the Athletics, who, had it pretty, they're not terrible, but they're pitching. Come on, they gave up, 12 runs yesterday against the Yankees, so you expect the Dodgers to take care of business. And then the Angels, really bad pitching. The Dodgers, again, this next six games, you hope they can win at least 5, right? I mean, go 5-1,
Yeah.
6-0. That's the plan.
Always what I say, beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and that's what the Dodgers are supposed to do. They're supposed to beat these teams, and they should win the series no matter what on those. And the weird thing about the Athletics is they're playing in Sacramento. Just blows my mind.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, they're playing in Sacramento, but have you seen the plans for the stadium in Vegas? That thing is, wow, that is going to be one of the best stadiums in baseball when that thing gets built.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be really amazing. Imagine go to Vegas, go to a baseball game indoors, as we know, right? It's gonna be it's a roof, right? Is it retractable?
Yeah.
Or
No, you got to cover that thing out
yeah,
there, right?
it's gonna be closed up, right? So, and right now, of course, playing in a AAA ballpark out there in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's hot. It's hot in Sacramento, bro. I don't know what they're gonna do in the summer. I think it's really hot out there.
It is way hot. It's
Yeah.
way hot. There was a schedule. They were going to do an X Games out there in August, and they canceled it because
It was
the
too
heat.
hot.
They're like, yeah, too hot to do that.
Wow. Yeah.
What's up with Yates, man? Yates, 3.12 ERA, not being the guy that they kind of thought he was going to be. I mean, still, the one thing he does good though, 30 Ks in 17 innings.
That's crazy.
That's pretty darn good numbers on that.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Kirby Yates. I think they, like you said, a lot of strikeouts. I think come playoff time, the Dodgers are going to go to him, right? Regardless of the ERA, they're going to have to go to him, I think, because he's like you said, those strikeout numbers are what you want to have in the playoffs.
So you see what EV Warrior said? He said, I actually think something is wrong with Sasaki's arm for the past 2 years because he used to throw 100 miles per hour with ease. Not anymore. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, Willis. That right there. I don't want to be the one to say it, but it's like, come on. If nobody wants to talk about it, it's like they bring it up, but is there an underlying something that's going on with that injury? Come on, Mike. Something's going on.
Yeah, well, we know something could be going on because the Dodgers are, not very transparent when it comes to this stuff, right? I mean, look at we've seen it this year with the Snell situation, the Glasnow situation. We don't really know exactly what's going on with those guys, and we don't.
Teo, what's going on?
Yeah,
with
what's going on with him too? What's going on with Tommy Edman?
Quiet.
Tommy Edman too, right?
Right, super quiet on both those guys.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if those guys miss extended periods, the Dodgers are, they're going to suffer from that. I think, the Glasnow Snell injuries are big. I think that they're trying to make it like it's not so big, but they're big injuries, Brad. I mean, it really hurts the Dodgers. I think come October. Not having, if those guys are not at 100% or they're not even there, it's going to really hurt this team.
I mean, you'd love to see the timing work out, obviously, to where these guys come back and they're lights out. It's, it's 2/3 the way through the season. They're able to get like 5 more starts each, and then boom, into the playoffs and let's go. But that's a perfect world, and I don't think that's what's going on because those injuries, I feel like could be more serious than what was being led on to too as well.
Yeah, it could be serious, but the Dodgers, see, the thing is, I think the Dodgers, invested so much to get these guys. I mean, they're just not injuries you can afford to have. I mean, last year the Dodgers were able to get through it. Glasnow missed the half. He was out for the year. Remember, he got hurt, and that was it.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers, at that time, I thought, oh, man, this is going to hurt. This is going to really mess the Dodgers' chances to win the World Series. But they shocked the world and relied on the bullpen and were able to get through it last year. But I just don't know, bro. I think this year it's going to be hard to do that again. We kind of talked about this before we went on air today. It's going to be hard again to rely so much on the offense when you don't have a stable starting pitching. I think it's hard to do it again.
Okay, so then let's bring up Kershaw into this mix. I know that you thought, maybe might be time for him to retire at some point. I know you voiced that in the past, but now how do you feel with what's been going on with our pitchers, 3-year starters in the fours, and Kershaw coming back? Do you welcome that more so now because he's had a couple good starts in OKC?
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope Kershaw, does well. I mean, I just think because Brad, the last 3 years, he hasn't been able to pitch a full
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
And it's not like last year. Think about it. Kershaw pitched 7 games last year. He pitched well. It wasn't like he was bad. I mean, he pitched good last year, but then he just got hurt. And I just wonder, Brad, if when he comes up and starts pitching at the major league level, how long can this
yeah,
guy last, right? Because pitching in the minor
yeah,
leagues is one thing, and now he's coming up to the big leagues, right? And I just wonder, with the way it's been going the last couple years, last 3 years now, with him not being able to stay healthy, it's a health problem. It's a age issue because think about it, this guy's been playing Major League Baseball now for almost 20 years, right?
yeah.
And how much can you rely on Kershaw to go from May to October, right? I mean,
That's a
is that
long stretch.
realistic? Is that realistic, Brad? I don't know.
It's a long stretch. I mean, and if you're counting on him because other guys are dropping like flies, well, then that's even a longer stretch, and you got to make some changes at that point. But yeah, I welcome him back in just to get back on track. But yeah, this is early for him coming back. And
What's
can
if
you
it's all if
imagine?
they're bringing him back only because of the injuries? There's the only
Yeah,
reason why he's coming back now, which is a bit concerning because I would have liked Kershaw to get at least another month off, right? June, July would have been nice, not May 18th.
yeah, I feel the same. Or maybe after All Star break or
Yeah,
something like that. Well, but I mean, you look at the pitchers, you look at everything we have going on with starting pitching, and with Gonsolin pitching well, in that game, those are implications for the Dodgers that we want. Those are good implications that look, hey, you got a guy who's trying to help with the starting rotation. He's pitching 2.81 for his ERA right now. So Gonsolin, I like the implications of him doing what he's doing right now to add to what Yamamoto's doing, and hopefully the rest of the three can get on track. Bring Kershaw up, Nat goes down. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Brad, about a video you did this week about Shohei Ohtani, talking about him not coming back, potentially, to pitch until after the All Star break, right? I believe that was the report that you talked about this week.
Yep, yep.
Talk
That's
to
a
me more
good.
about that. Yeah.
Okay, so but I've been saying this from the beginning. So Brad Stradamus, man, I was on this a long time ago. I was on even in the off season, before the season started. I said he's not coming back as soon as people think he's coming back, and I've said that, and people, oh no, 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 he's not. No, he is. The Dodgers are playing it this way because the way I've read all the reports, I've read all the statements, I've done my little sleuth work, I've trolled everything, and from what I was hearing too, and even from some of the commentators, is they're looking for him to come back after the All Star break. They want him to get, what was it? And I'm not sure if my numbers correct. I think it was 5 to 7 starts before the season was to end, and
Yeah.
then he would be just in cruise control mode through all the playoffs. So that's all the reports that I got from it, and I'll bet you anything. I would bet anything on this. He's not going to pitch until after the All Star break.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense
Because
with that
yeah,
timeline. Yeah.
yeah, and if everybody, he is still your bread and butter at the plate.
Best
What is he
hitter.
batting? Yeah,
Over
I
300.
mean, yeah, and 12 home runs already,
Yeah.
21 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to go 50-50 and pitch? Like, seriously, the dude could really do that. I mean, that's what I'm saying with the 10 stolen bases. But I caution this, Mike Nelson. I don't like the way he's been sliding lately.
You're a bit concerned
It's
with that. Yeah.
it seems a little off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like he puts that shoulder down a little too early,
Yeah.
and that just seems like, oh man, I don't even want to say it because jinxing things,
Yeah.
but it seems like that's the easy way to dislocate a shoulder.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see maybe them work with his slides a little bit if he's going to go back to there, because, man, can you imagine if that took him out a slide took him out of hitting, a slide took him out of pitching, like so.
Yeah.
And then if he once, and I've always talked about too. So if you put him now at pitching, now are you limiting him on stealing bases? Okay, now you're pitching. Okay, well, let's not have you stealing a bunch of bases now. Do you think the Dodgers would actually have to have a talk with him to
Yeah.
not be stealing bases?
Well, I mean, especially if like you're talking about, if he starts pitching after the All-Star break, they're going to really have to sit down with him and think about the steals and how that's going to work. But see, here's the thing about, we've talked about this, but I think it's a good time to talk about it now. With Otani coming back, it looks like he's really determined to pitch again. It's something he really wants to do. But how does that factor into his everyday
Yes.
duties as a designated hitter? Because we can't
Yeah.
lose that, Brad. He has to be the
Yeah.
DH every day.
They
Rely on
haven't
him too
talked.
much.
They haven't addressed that. They
Yeah.
have not addressed any of that. The only talk the Dodgers have said regarding that is just regarding Otani pitching is when the time frame and how he would get to that point. They've never ever discussed. Oh, he'd have 2 days off. He would now take a game.
But they can't
off
do that,
because,
Brad.
Yeah.
I don't think the Angels were able to do that because the Angels were in another situation, but the
Yeah.
Dodgers really can't do that. And I just really wonder if the Dodgers might have to sit down with Otani and say, right now, we just can't have you pitch as a starting pitcher because we need you to play every day at DH.
Yeah.
I mean, it could come to that conversation, right? It could be
Yeah.
a simple team decision to
Oh.
have him not pitch this year. It could happen.
And they've talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been around the coaches roundtable.
Oh, front
they've
office
talked
too,
about
Brad.
it.
This goes up the whole organization.
Hey, everyone, let's think about this before we just
Yeah.
throw him out there. This is one for Ryan. He goes, Kershaw's 90-mile-an-hour fastball to just blow by hitters 50 years ago. Come on, Ryan, be nice, dude. Be
Not
nice.
50 years. That
Yeah.
would be we're like over 100, so we're not that
Yeah.
old.
But I like Kershaw coming back. I really do. I think he's a good leader for the team, and if he can show up and go 4 or 5 innings, I think that's I'd like to see that out of Kershaw.
Paul Vaughn saying Brad and Mike have the best Dodger news. We appreciate it, Paul. Thanks a lot for the support.
Do we owe Paul for that? Do I got to give him like $10? I owe you a 5 spot.
We owe you a Dodger dog. Now they're like $20, right? So
When I worked there at the end of the night, all the Dodger dogs that did not get eaten would be put into a big, metal tray, right? And they would bring them into the press area.
Yeah.
And so anyone into the press, any employees, anybody who wants to have Dodger dogs can get them.
Did you get tired of eating them, Brad?
Yeah, I stopped after a while. You can't, dude. You cannot suffice on Dodger dogs all the time.
Yeah.
But I will sometimes buy them in the stores.
Oh yeah.
And barbecue them myself.
Yeah, that's different though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
That's not the same way.
It's not the same way. So what else we got? We got a quick Los Angeles saying Kershaw is a deli curveball, one of the best in the game. Yeah, of course the curveball, still going to be there. Kershaw for the regular season. Lions saying Kershaw for the regular season. Otani for the postseason. What do you think about that, Brad? Otani for the postseason.
From what I was hearing from the Dodgers and all the stuff I heard, that's what they're looking to do after All-Star break, but not too many starts before the postseason, just enough to get his cadence on, his endurance on, and then be ready to go. From all the stuff I heard, that's the plan because they want him to be firing on all cylinders come the postseason so he can help the Dodgers secure back-to-back.
Can you imagine when Otani comes back to pitch, what a story that's going to be, Brad? It's going to be not just a baseball story. It's going to be a sports story around the world, I think, when he pitches again.
And at some point, batters that, they're going to be facing him at some point, going to have to plan out how they're going to face him because they haven't seen him pitch.
Yeah.
He didn't pitch last year.
No.
They're going to have – at what point when they start realizing they might have to face him, do they have to go back and look at footage from 2 years ago? And try to, okay, what does he do? Okay, he goes with this. But he might have a whole different plan. He might have changed everything up, so whatever he wants to do is a different pitcher than he was before. He's had plenty of time to work on changing things, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be exciting if it happens, if he gets a chance to pitch. But
Yeah.
I think we also have to kind of think about, where the Dodgers are in terms of him, being an everyday contributor at the plate because he's the best hitter for the Dodgers, right? They don't want to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
And like, think about it. If Otani wasn't playing designated hitter on say Tuesday and he's got to pitch Wednesday, who's playing DH, Brad? I mean, that's you start to wonder about that.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you got to think that they've talked about this and they already have their plans, like, because it feels like everything they do is already a master plan anyways, and it's going to happen the way they've already talked about it. But yeah, I would love to know the formula. What is the formula for him being able to pitch and DH? What does that look like? Is it the day off, like you're saying, or possibly half a game off, or someone else starts at DH? And who do you have to play DH besides him? Like, yeah,
Yeah, well, I think Otani. I mean, this is obviously if he if he had it his way, he would do exactly what he was doing with the Angels.
yeah,
I think he would be. I think that's what him and his agent prior are telling the Dodgers. Well, I want to start again as a pitcher, and I'm just going to need some time off around my starts, and that's it. I think that's what he personally wants. He wants to be a two-way player, even if he's not playing every day. If that makes sense, Brad. I
yeah,
think that's
exactly.
that's in his mind. I think.
Well, and here's what Ray Brown says, and Ray Brown echoes exactly what I've said from the beginning of this thing, or when our seventh through ninth hitters weren't producing. Dodgers need him hitting right now, especially with the hitters' injuries. The 7 and 9 hitters hitting under 200. You just don't want to risk having him injured at all. I get that, and I get what Ray's saying right there. I mean, that's the thing. 7 through 9 has been the problem, and that you cannot deny that. When you look at Conforto and you look at Outman, and Pajes was one of those guys too. He's turned it around. You look at Muncy as well, and when you got guys doing that, you don't. Hey, let's have him pitch now, right? No, we kind of need his bat because his bat's really helped us win a few of those games. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think. I think what Ray's saying is definitely true. And yeah, I think the Dodgers are going to definitely think about that. We're coming close to an end here with the stream, but Sam's saying, go watch Otani on the Angels. He can hit and pitch. He's a unicorn. Yeah, I mean, obviously his numbers with the Angels were incredible doing that. But I just think the Dodgers are in a different situation. I think the Dodgers are a contender. They're trying to win a World Series this year. And the Angels, as we know, were in another situation, right? I think with them, they were able to kind of just, put them out there as much as it was different. They were never a playoff team.
Yeah, and I've said it. You and I were saying it last year. I'm still saying it. The Dodgers are going to go back to back.
Yeah,
they're going to win. Yeah, they're going to win the World Series. It's going to happen. But how it happens and how it all comes down to the magic, how it happened last year, we just don't know who's going to be in the starting role, who's going to be the backup role, like who's going to be the MVP of the National League Series, who's going to be the MVP for the World Series. But I'm definitely predicting a Dodgers going back-to-back on World Series wins. And I said that before the last win, and I'll say it all the way until they win it again the second time in a row.
Yeah, and obviously looking at how the season has gone so far, I mean, you have to stay with that prediction, Brad. I mean, the Dodgers are still the best team in baseball, even with all the injuries they've had.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And Ray says, I don't feel Pajes should be hitting below Muncy because he hasn't worked hard to start hitting again. And I feel like there's a thing with Muncy and Roberts that there's a bond that they have or something going on where he's going to give him as much time and so as he needs. And if you give him too much time and it's not working, then obviously you're going to have to do something. So I think so too. I think Pajes has really earned himself a spot. 286 right now. He's got 140 at bat, so he's very close to 300. Remember, we were all talking about, man, should he be up there? Should he go rehab down at OKC? Well, no, he didn't. Robert stayed with him, and that was a good move on Robert's part.
Well, Brad, we're coming to an end here on the stream. You have anything else to add before we head out?
No, let's just now we got a homestand. One thing that we always got to do is beat the teams we're supposed to beat, and that's what the Dodgers need to do on this homestand. Take care of business, win every series. Even if you don't sweep them, you got to win the series. That's it.
Yeah, got to win the A's and the Angels series. That's a given. Yeah. Playing at Dodger Stadium, I'm hoping for 5-6 wins this week.
Yeah.
Playing against a couple non-playoff playoff teams. They're not going to the playoffs, guys. The A's and Angels are not going to the playoffs. I mean,
saying it this early is so rad. Like,
yeah.
wow, they're not. Yeah, they're not going to the playoffs. Yeah. Got it, man.
Oh, Brad, take us away.
All right, man. Hey, remember, whatever you do as you go through your day, always just think Dodger Blue and let's go Dodgers.
Let's go Dodgers. Thanks for watching, everybody.